brought it to my computer. There we go. Just admitting them all. I'll admit Steen, Mel, Marita.
So do I see them or not? I don't know.
Yeah, in a moment.
Okay.
They're all coming on. Good morning. We're just waiting for people to come on. There's a bit of a crowd happening.
Hello.
Just wait till a few more people come on. So talk amongst yourselves. If while we're waiting, you can take time to test your camera, sound, etc. If you right-click on the mic icon down the bottom, you can bottom left of the screen and choose test sound. You can do that, and same with the icon camera. Okay. The video, if you want to stop the video, you just press the button down on the bottom left, second icon along. Okay, that stops the video. Just waiting for a few more.
Testing.
Making it bigger and bigger. And I suspect what will happen, we'll have some people coming in a little bit later, but that happens, so that's fine. Well, if we start now, I'll just take you through a couple of housekeeping stuff. Welcome to the second in our webinar series. It's on mental health during COVID-19, information discussion with Rob Merdzen, who's obviously sitting up there in one of your cameras there, who's the Principal Master of Mental Health First Aid Instructor. We will mute mics throughout the webinar just so everyone can hear the presenter. I think it just makes it a bit easier. And you'll notice there's a chat icon on the box on the bottom of your Zoom screen. If you could post your questions here, we can keep an eye on that, and we can wait till the presentation, which should take about half an hour, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, depending on how Rob goes through, and we can collate your questions down there. Okay, so you can also chat to everybody, or you can chat to particular people if you wish to. By now, we should all be fantastic at doing Zoom, I suspect. Just be very respectful of others as well, and just use your camera, check your background for distractions. Maybe, you know, pets, cute pets, but maybe, you know, you could probably leave the pets. They're lovely to look at. Okay, so what I'll do now is I'll introduce you all to Rob, who is the Mental Health First Aid Instructor, and turn it over to Rob, who will now start to speak.
Thank you, Danny. Can everyone
Very
hear
welcome.
me? I've got a bit of feedback here, but hopefully people don't hear that feedback. And I see that there's someone just on the telephone, so just give me a moment. I'm going to put up a slideshow. So the person on the phone obviously is going to have a little bit of trouble. You're not going to be able to see that, but I believe Danny will put the slideshow up on the Unity page later on so that people can select it and find it. I think, what have I got here, Danny? 10 people or something, but I only see a few of you, so that's fine. I'll go through the presentation. So my name's Rob Merdzen. I'm a accredited mental health first aid instructor through Mental Health First Aid Australia. And on the first screen there, you can see my web page address. So if you want to email me or phone me or contact me, just put that URL up later on, or just Google my name and you'll find it anyhow. We can go from there. So every now and then, I think about once a month, I'm at Unity delivering the standard mental health first aid course, which is a 2-day course. What I'm doing here today is just a bit of a discussion about your mental health and other people's mental health and COVID-19 and how it's affected everyone. There's been a lot of stuff in the media anyhow, so we know a fair bit about it. So we'll talk about that. So this isn't actually the mental health first aid course. It's just a bit of a chat and just an opportunity for you to hopefully find out something new, and also opportunity to ask any questions to clarify a few things. So see if I can get this slideshow to work. Hang on a minute. There we go. So first off, I'd like to start with Acknowledgement of Country. So I'm here sitting on what is traditionally Whadjuk land, and I guess most of you might be in Perth, or you might be elsewhere, I don't know, but you know, I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land here, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, pay respects to elders past and present, and also to any Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders who have joined us here on this meeting today. The other thing I'd like to acknowledge as well today is anyone here that's joined us that's got actual lived experience of mental health problems and issues. So that's important as well, because your experience is crucial and good to share at times as well for people. The session overview, so just try to keep it pretty short for all of you, because I know you've all got a busy time, so thanks for coming along, as busy as it might be for some people with COVID-19. So what I'll just talk about is what mental health is, what it is, and what we're talking about. We see it's great to hear a lot about it, a lot of people talking about mental health nowadays, and the discussion is a bit more out there, being a bit more destigmatised, which is great. We'll talk about COVID-19, some stresses, and again, a lot of that has been in the media, so I think we might be well aware of that. I'll chat about some tips on coping and some tips on helping others, and then just direct you to some resources at the end and questions along the way. We'll hope to answer them. So first off, initially, mental health. Unfortunately, people think, as soon as they hear about mental health, they think negative, something negative, but it's a positive term. And the World Health Organization, you know, this is their definition. So it's a state of well-being, which is a positive term, in which every individual realizes his or her own potential. They can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to her or his community. So it's a positive term, so mental health, and let's talk about health first off, an umbrella of health. Each of us, human beings, we have health, and hopefully we are healthy all the time. So that's a positive term. Let's be healthy. Let's try to be as healthy as we can. And unfortunately, at times, we may be physically unwell or mentally unwell, and that's okay. That happens. We're not impervious to any sort of thing that might happen. So it might happen anywhere, anytime, and on a daily basis, we may be feeling okay physically and mentally, and on a daily basis, we may fluctuate from not feeling okay to perhaps feeling really well or really poorly, and that's okay too. That's normal. No person on this planet wants to become mentally unwell or physically unwell. We would all like to remain healthy and be well. And if we do become physically unwell or mentally unwell, we haven't asked for it. It's no one's fault, and people shouldn't be stigmatized and discriminated against because they've become unwell. And unfortunately, society sometimes does treat both cases differently, but it's only just a case of someone's unwell. With mental illness, when we say illness, that's a diagnosable term. So we can have mental health problems, mental health conditions, but when it's an illness, it's a diagnosable term. So mental illnesses in Australia, with the National Survey on Mental Health and Wellbeing in 2007 for 16 and 85-year-olds, these are the numbers. It's quite common, quite prevalent, in that anxiety over a 12-month period, 14.4% of the population showed symptoms of mental health illnesses and anxiety, so very common. Depressive and bipolar disorders was 6.2%, substance use 5.1%, and psychotic disorders 0.45%. So, of course, on the survey as well, if you want to Google the National Survey of Mental Health and Wellbeing, you'll see this diagram in there. And unfortunately, people on the phone can't see this diagram at the moment, but the total population at the time of the survey of 16 85-year-olds was 16 million odd people, and 45% of those had a mental health disorder within their lifetime. So 45%. So it's quite prevalent. And in any 12-month period, 20% of the population, or 1 in 5 people, may have a mental health disorder. And that's a diagnosable disorder. And the other 25% of that 45% had no mental health disorder. But that does not mean to say that people were feeling mentally unwell for a short period of time, but it just wasn't a diagnosable illness. So what's an illness? An illness, of course, is diagnosable. It affects the person's thinking, their emotions, their behaviour, and it disrupts their ability to do those normal things in life, such as work, their daily activities, relationships. And when should someone, the question that usually, or people sometimes ask is when should someone go get some professional help? Well, they can get professional help at any stage whatsoever, but look at the intensity and the duration that the person's been feeling these bad feelings. If the intensity is great, so they can't look after themselves, they can't have relationships with people, they can't work, then perhaps, you know, they should be seeking professional help, or we should be assisting them to get professional help. If it's just a short term, I'm just not feeling okay today, which it happens to people all the time, you know, I'm not feeling great today, having a bit of a down day, you know, you can do a bit of self-care and hopefully move on and become well again. So being unwell for short periods of time, you know, that's quite normal as well. So not really much of an issue. COVID-19, of course, one of the main things that's happened here is anxiety, and that's a normal feeling. Anxiety is actually a good thing. It keeps us safe at times. The only problem with anxiety is the intensity and duration. If it's really severe and it's affecting someone's life, their ability to look after themselves, then it's not a great thing. But, you know, a little bit of anxiety, being scared about crossing the freeway or somewhere like that, and being on your guard and being ready to go, that's a good thing. So anxiety is sometimes a good thing, but it can move into an area where it becomes very intense and it's not so good for people, and life becomes really difficult for people. So anxiety from COVID-19, the fear of the unknown, that's a normal reaction. You know, fear of, you know, am I going to contract this virus? Are my children, family, friends going to get the virus? So those sort of fears and anxiety there, it's quite normal. Anxiety about spreading the virus. Am I going to affect someone else with it? Is someone else going to get ill? Is someone else going to die because of the virus? That's quite normal as well. Employment, you know, people have been affected in many ways with their employment during this COVID-19. So, you know, reduced hours of work, working from home, that brings problems to people as well. And I guess, you know, hands up if someone has had problems with people working at home. Wife's been at home, and yes, you know, we've had to change the way that we've been working and the relationships with each other. It's difficult working at home. You have to change things, change from the norm, so it becomes a bit difficult. Some people have been stood down and they don't know what's happening, so of course they're going to be anxious about that. So, you know, I still don't know what's happening with the Virgin Airlines people, because they've all been stood down, and other people have been stood down as well. Other people just completely have lost their job, which has obviously become really difficult for them in relation to finances, their rent, their mortgage, health, their credit cards, etc., etc. You know, people getting refunds on holidays in the paper and all sorts of things. So there are all those difficulties and problems that have happened, and I'm sure that all of you have read a lot about it and keep on seeing it in the news. How we've dealt with it. What we've been told to do is social distancing. I'd like to say it's more like physical distancing. Let's not stop being social. So we're all together here today in a social sort of way. You're listening to me, and hopefully you get time to chat as well. So social, we don't have to be socially distanced. And what we've seen, but they keep on using the term social distancing. Let's call it physical distancing. Let's not social distance. And what we do keep on seeing is people using media, so you know, TikTok and what we're doing here, and Messenger, and getting groups together. And the other thing as well is even meeting up, because until was it last week or whatever, when we could only exercise with one person. Well, you could exercise with one person every day, or one person here and there every day, so you don't have to be social distanced. What's happened with this period of time, though, sometimes where we go, oh, it's bad, but I don't know, sometimes I think there has been some positive changes as well, with some relationship enhancements. Children are saying, oh, this is great, I'm out with mum and dad exercising and doing stuff there at home. Friends have been starting to contact each other a bit more. Elderly, for a change, people have been reaching out for the elderly, because a lot of the elderly are the at-risk category, so it's brought the elderly into focus. So I personally think that's a great thing, that the elderly are now in focus and in people's mind. So there are some good things that are happening, but there's also some bad things that are happening. And relationships, there's been those tensions, so there's been breakdowns. I read an article the other day that lawyers are saying their inquiries about divorces has gone up 20% during this COVID-19 period. Domestic violence has certainly gone up. There's been a lot more phone calls to help agencies about domestic violence, and it's not just an Australian phenomenon, it's a worldwide phenomenon that has happened when people have been pushed together for long periods of time. They don't have those normal releases and breaks that they probably have. There's been a lot of grief and loss as well, especially where people haven't been able to be with someone who has passed away, not being able to go to friends' funerals, so, personally, some really close friends who have passed away and have been in your life for years, and you just haven't been able to go there to say goodbye to them. Other people have had family functions, birthdays, significant birthdays where people haven't been able to come. So it's caused that sort of problem. Work isolation as well has been a problem. People find a new way to work. A lot of times we have a little bit of relief from our normal home life by going to work, and also relief from work by going back home, which is great. So we move around, we have a change of environment. So working at home all the time can be difficult. People have to change their procedures, move into different working groups, and it has been difficult. Health as well. People aren't looking after their health. Number one, we had straight away, first off, the elective surgeries were put on hold. So I do wonder how that has negatively impacted on people's health. The other thing that is a real concern well, big concern in relation to mental health issues, is that less people have been presenting for mental health problems, and less people have been seeing their regular mental health professionals in relation to their mental health during this COVID-19 period. Why? Well, perhaps they're too scared to go into emergency because they've been told to stay away. So physical distancing might be a problem, or they've got family and friends at home at the moment who are assisting them through this period of time, but when that changes, it's going to affect their health as well. So we do know that in Hong Kong, during the 2003 SARS period, the studies on that showed that suicide rates did pick up during the SARS period, which I don't know what's happened here now, and we won't get the statistics on what's happened until September 2021. So hopefully people are being looked after, and they don't end up in a really bad place where they decide to take their own life. Moving on, coping strategies. One of the biggest coping strategies is just to simply accept that this is unique, this is different, this is something new. So people can do that, and okay, let's see where it goes. At this stage, Australia has done extremely well. Belgium's the worst out of sort of everything when you look at deaths per million population. So acceptance that yes, look, this is happening, it's out of control. At this stage, it's out of our control. There's nothing we can do about it. It's different. Let's move on. Let's see what our new normal is going to be. Things are slowly changing, and actually probably quickly changing, but things are changing, getting back towards a new normal. We don't know what that's going to be like, and that might be anxiety provoking for people as well. But let's see how it goes, and just acceptance of it and moving along. Your routine. People getting a routine, not staying in their pajamas all day. Anyone there in their pajamas still? Oh, you're still in your PJs there, Mel. So Mel's still in PJs. People with the dark screens, Unions WA, that's Danny there, but usually I was going to say people with their videos off are possibly naked or something, but maybe they're not. But staying in your PJs all day and not having a routine might not be the best thing for you unless it's really comfortable. But having a routine's great. So, you know, wake up the same time in the morning as you normally would. If you're working from home, perhaps getting dressed as though you're going to work and doing that. But scheduling breaks during the day, because you can't be sitting on your screen all day. So scheduling breaks during the day, doing things that you like doing, scheduling time to perhaps take up that hobby that you've put on hold for a long period of time. Like my wife wants to learn to play the guitar and she's going to do that, so she tells me, but at the moment she's learning to use this new sewing machine, so that's great. So, you know, allocating time to do different things during the day. So have a routine and a bit of a plan, a bit of a structured day. It certainly helps. Exercise. Look, we know that exercise is great for our physical health, but it also fuels your mental health as well. It's great for your mental health. Get out there and do something as well. Go enjoy, you know, we can go outside, go enjoy nature. Perhaps not today. So I'm just looking outside here. The trees are trying to touch the ground at the moment, but perhaps not today. Yeah, get out there and exercise. It's great. It's been shown that for mental health and exercise is just fantastic. It really helps. Social contact, you know, we are physically distanced, but we don't have to be socially distanced, as I've already said. Let's, you know, try to do a little bit extra. You know, you could even actually pick up the phone and talk to people, because life has gone into texting, etc., and social media. But, you know, actually contacting people and using the telephone, that's great. You know, ring up people. Home. I've been busy ringing up and contacting people around the world, relatives around the world on Skype and Messenger, and we've had similar sessions as this, Zoom sessions. We can do it with Messenger as well, invite people in, and it's been good fun, that social contact stuff. News and screen time. Let's keep that news. Try to filter out the ridiculous stuff. There is a lot of stuff out there that isn't based on facts. So, you know, being informed and making sure that it's factual is really important, because some people are just posting up all sorts of stuff. Screen time, probably not great to sit in front of the screen all day. Get up, move around, do some different things, because it's not going to help. And a lot of people are getting more anxious reading you know, things that other people are putting on the screen that isn't factual, so it's not really helpful. Be kind to yourself. It's not your fault that you might be feeling a bit down. It's not your fault that you're feeling uncomfortable about things. It's quite normal to have up and down days, so don't put yourself down. Get out there and do something about it is the best thing to do, and focus on those facts. The other thing is be kind to others as well. So, you know, taking a meal around to someone who perhaps can't get out and grab a meal, or just, well, personally, I've got into a bit of baking, so I've been helping out a friend by, he has to work, he's a bricklayer, so I've made him a cake and brought it on his site for, you know, have a bit of a chat and an eat at social distance, or physical distance, I should say. So, you know, take baking cakes, and last night I baked a cake for lemon meringue pie it was, for a friend's birthday. Took that around to her. So yeah, being kind to others, it's good fun. It makes us feel good, and obviously makes other people feel good that someone's caring about them as well. So, you know, a little project for yourself to do things like that. Medical or treatments for physical and mental illnesses, people should continue them and seek to go to their professionals and seek to go to their counsellors or whatever else it is, because we do know that people have dropped back from that and we don't exactly know why. But stopping medications and medical treatments during this period of time isn't going to help with coping. So continue with that and continue talking to your medical professionals. And of course, we've got telehealth at the moment, which is working quite well. And listen to the medical professionals of what's happening and accept that. Accept them as the professionals and the experts, and let's do what they suggest. Alcohol and drugs, don't go there. It's not going to help. Some people will use some extra alcohol and drugs to cope with their feelings, but it's not at all helpful. So in the long term, it's not going to be helpful at all. So keep away from alcohol and drugs if you can. Of course, being social and having the odd little social drink and drinking at healthy levels, that'll be fine. But other than that, keep away. Helping others. So if you want to help someone else, the thing is observe the people around you, your colleagues, watch their behaviours, any changes in their mood, listen to the sort of things they're saying. Are they putting themselves down? Are they thinking that, oh, I'm hopeless, I'm useless at this, I'll never get my job back, all this sort of stuff. So, are they putting themselves down? If you think it's, they are putting themselves down and there's a need there to have a conversation with them, find that place and time to have that, conversation with them to help them out, and focus on your concerns about what the things that you observe. Focus on those concerns. So use your I statements, and don't focus on your experiences. Don't say things to them. Oh yeah, I know how bad it is. I've been there as well, because that'll just turn people off. They'll go, okay, you know how bad it is. I need not talk to you now because you know how bad it is. So it's not going to go there. However, focusing on the concern, saying, look, normally you've been doing this and that, and I'm a bit concerned that you haven't been coming out. I'm a bit concerned you haven't been doing this or doing that. And I'm a bit concerned that you just look a bit moody and unhappy. How are you feeling? What's going on for you? Let's talk about it. And try to get them to discuss how they are feeling and what's happening with them and how they view this period of isolation. Because that's important. How do they feel about it? Because we all feel differently about things. So some of us will be coping quite well with this isolation period and people won't. And that's okay. Everyone's different and that's okay. It's not their fault that they're feeling the way that they're feeling. But one thing we have to do as well is don't take it on board that you have to cure them or you have to fix them. It's not your position to cure anyone. It's your position just to be there and be supportive and be helpful to them, and direct them towards things that may be helpful. So direct them to their professional help, their doctor, their GP. Direct them to self-care pages. We do know that at the moment, well, in March, the Lifeline had like 3,000 calls a day, way over what they normally have, or 3,000 calls, I think it was through March, but their calls are something like 30% higher than what they are normally. So obviously people do know that there is help out there, and they do know that there are those help call places like Lifeline and Men's Line and Beyond Blue and all that. They do know that, and they are seeking them out. So encourage people to seek those sort of professional agencies out and talk to people about what they can do. There is a lot of self-help that people can do, and already spoke about exercise, eating well, having a routine and looking after themselves. All those sort of self-help things can help as well. So giving people information about that and getting them to access it and getting them to take care of their own life, it is what we need to do. And that's the best way to help someone, just to let them know that you are concerned about them and ask them, is there anything that you can do for them? And also, like if they have had a mental health problem before and it's getting worse, ask them, what worked for them in the past, and encourage them to go and do that again, or seek that avenue again, because it most likely will work again for them. So have those sort of discussions with people is what we can do. So some resources, let's see if this works. So I've only put 2 up here. So the first one I've put up there is mentalhealthfirstaid.com.au/COVID-19. And that actually leads into a lot of others. So I'm just going to see if I can share that screen with you. Let's see if I can do that. This is my first time trying to do that. Let's see, where are we? There we go. So that's the screen there. Thumbs up if you can see that. No? Okay. So that's the Mental Health First Aid Australia COVID-19 screen. So if I scroll down, is it scrolling down? Thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up, someone. Okay, beautiful. Okay. So there's health and safety, and there's links through to things there. Talks about mental health. There's a tip sheet there for COVID-19, teen mental health, Black Dog Institute, etc., etc. Further down, there's a guide there, working from home, a few links to what you can read, tips from working home effectively. And there's this one here that was just talking about seeking support. So you've got those there as well. So all those are links that you can link on and click through to, or just phone up the number that's there. Assisting someone distressed by COVID-19, you can open that up and have a read of that document, and providing mental health first aid, social distance. So there's a lot of stuff there. Well, sole traders thing there as well. So these links here, I'll open up the Beyond Blue one, because Beyond Blue did get a lot of funding from the government. And what they have done, that's working for you, is it? If you click on the coronavirus outbreak, there's a lot of support and information there in relation to the coronavirus. So if you go through, you can just Google Beyond Blue and find that as well. So there's a lot of information there. However, if I just go back to the Mental Health First Aid Australia one, and if you go to the top of this page, you'll see that's working for you there, that drop down, why mental health first aid. If you click on guidelines there, hopefully this all opens up. Yes, it does open up. There's numerous guidelines on there from Mental Health First Aid Australia on how to help people in different situations. So, suicidal thoughts and behaviours guidelines are there, depressive guidelines. Bushfire one is there as well. Can you all see all them? Okay, cool. So there is a lot of information out there that we can track down. Hang on, I'm just going to stop the share here. Are there any questions from anyone? Oh, hang on. I can see the chat there. Are there any questions in the chat area there?
There are a few. We have a few people who have got a couple of questions just in regards with, well, Joe actually, where's Joe? There you are, Joe, had asked about mental health survey being from 2007. Is there any more data from perhaps more recent surveys?
Yeah, great question, Joe. The thing is that survey, the National Health and Safety, National Survey on Mental Health and Wellbeing is supposed to be done every 10 years. So it was supposed to be done again in 2017. However, it wasn't done in 2017. The thing is, the survey is the best survey that we have at the moment because it's done by just speaking to people randomly across society and getting that feel there. So it's the best survey we have at the moment. The previous survey to that, the numbers actually hadn't changed that much. And even across the world, the numbers in every country is about the same. It's always about the same, that anxiety is the highest, depression next, substance use next. And it's similar across the world. With age groups, it's a little bit different though. So for 16 to 85, it's 20% of the population. But if we go down to 16 to 25, so adolescents, it's 26% of the population. So more younger people are affected by mental health illnesses than older people.
Okay, has anyone got a question? Please put your hand up. Very welcome to ask. There are some various comments people have made, which understandably is the feeling, I suppose, is, companies are working and using the COVID to cut back and all sorts of things. So it's some interesting questions and things that people are going through at the moment, Rob. So whether there's someone else who...
Well, with those things there, let's just focus on the facts, is because there's a lot of information. Nearly knocked everything over. There is a lot of things posted online about things, and it's a bit of fear mongering as well. So just look at the facts. And yes, you know, who knows what the intention is of companies of putting people off, or whatever it is. But you know, can we help people who are affected is really important. What can we do for them? You know, that's the important part there, and not going out to blame anyone. So, you know, from the mental health first aid standpoint, we don't blame anyone for being unwell, whether it's mentally unwell or physically unwell. And we just do the best that we can do to help people out. And that's what it's like. Everyone's different, and everyone is affected differently. So let's just accept that.
It's probably more join together and support each other.
Exactly. Yeah, look, we're a social creature. We love that social contact, and when our social contact has been minimised and dropped off, people are affected. And you know, but we're inventive, and we'll find another way to maintain our social contact and to look after each other. So you know, a lot of the community groups out there have really picked up helping out people. You know, I've got a local coffee shop here where some businessmen, I would not have a clue who they are, and I don't think anyone does. But what he or she has done, I've been told a businessman, so it might be he picks up the bill for all frontline people that come into the coffee shop, and they get a free cup of coffee or, through him. So all the ambos are turning up there, the coppers are there, the fireys are there, and you know, they're all getting a free coffee because this person's providing that for them. I wouldn't have a clue who he is, and I'll probably never find out, but it's a nice thing to do. And when we do talk about frontline people, you know, I think one of the major frontline people at the moment are people at Centrelink. I have a friend who works at Centrelink, and they are completely under the hammer there. You know, my wife works in a hospital, and they're not so busy because elective surgeries have been put off. So it's interesting who is the true frontline people here.
I think that's been debated for quite some time since the start. I think the other thing, and someone else has brought up, you know, how that they feel the guilt, which is Jay Jones was saying that they feel the guilt if you can complain about conditions. I suppose is that accepting, and or do we wait till the end of when this virus disappears? What do we do? How do we internalise that? How do we make sure that we can take that on and move on?
Let me just get this right, that you're saying people feeling guilty because of what?
If you complain about conditions, they feel a bit guilty. Well, they feel guilty.
Because other people have done it worse or whatever it might be. The thing is, we've all got the right to complain about conditions, but that might be, like you just said, Danny, it might be a factor of finding it difficult to adjust to a new condition, a new reality. And throughout our lives, you know, we do have to adjust, and there is a thing called adjustment disorder, and that's when things happen in our life, people need to adjust, and sometimes people can't adjust, and that can develop into an adjustment disorder, and then other things come out of that. But you know, moving on in life, humans, interestingly, we do adjust, and if we do look at the past, people have adjusted over time, and it takes time, and people may adjust differently, and people adjust in different ways. Some people, you know, want to complain about things because, you know, let's face it, complaining about things has brought along some positive changes as well. So we need people who stand up and you know, throw themselves out there and say, this needs to change. And sometimes it does change for the better.
Well, I suppose what Mel's brought up a comment saying one good thing is that people who wouldn't be normally in the front line are actually being noticed and noticed guilty asking for PPE, I suppose, is what she's mentioned. It's interesting.
Yeah, so you do have people on the front line who haven't been noticed and thought that they're not significant at all. And also, like I just said earlier as well, a lot of elderly people feel that they're are insignificant in society too. And now for elderly people to be looked after and protected, then they're feeling, okay, this is good. Actually, people do think something about elderly people for a change. It's great that humanity starts to step up and get together when crises happen. And this is just another demonstration of that, I think, that, good, there's a hell of a lot more good in the world than there is of negative people. So that's great.
Okay. Mainly we just have some comments, I suppose, but if anyone else has another comment, they're quite happy to have a chat. Any other discussion that they want to bring up? Obviously, there's a lot of talk about, being paid the right pay. That's type of, the EBA is not being agreed to. What's going on there? They cut my job because of COVID, but it's not part of what the agreement's telling them to do. It's all it's difficult. That's more of a union type deal. I think that needs to come out. And yes, negotiations, some of them have been put on hold. Some of them are actually still going ahead. So it's a generalised issue at the moment. We are in unprecedented times, as Rob's pointed out. So it's difficult. So anyone else want to put in or talk about anything in particular?
I'll just try to finish up then. I'll give you the link to Mental Health First Aid Australia and all the guidelines there. So if you have specific things that you'd like about how do I deal with someone who's feeling this or that, you'll possibly find a guideline there on it, on how to help people. And I think also, even though it's not therapy session for yourself, reading about the fact that people do feel this way and you're not alone, and no one's immune from feeling mentally unwell or physically unwell in that way as well. The main thing is let's do something positive to get into a better place. And there are a lot of suggestions there of positive things to do. And remember as well that if it gets to that stage where a person is having a really difficult time and they're not coping at all, it's really important to get them to their GP and get them to the doctor and get them looked at by a professional. We aren't professionals. I'm not a professional health care person either, except that I do know that there are strategies out there and there are self-care strategies as well. But the professionals are out there who know the best. And the other thing as well is if your doctor or your friend's doctor or whoever it might be isn't the best or caring person, well, doctor shop and find another one. And on the Beyond Blue website, there's a drop-down list there for practitioners, who do have an interest in mental health concerns. So, go to Beyond Blue and have a look at that, find a practitioner list there and find a practitioner that is helpful, because some can be dismissive and just, go straight out to medication or whatever. Everyone's different. So look around and find the person that you gel with the best and encourage people to do that and encourage people to look after themselves and be there as a support for them and do everything that we can for them and never discriminate against anyone or stigmatise anyone just because they're feeling unwell. It could be a short-term or a long-term issue, but there is help out there, there is hope out there, and let's encourage the people to seek out that help and that hope and progress on their recovery journey to a life that is satisfying for them. It doesn't have to be satisfying for you, but satisfying for them. As long as it's satisfying for them, that's it. So less judgmental activity out there from people.
In saying that, just with your particular, because your mental health first aid, I know that you run with the program usually once a month with us. You'll be starting back up with that, because you also run programs for small groups, but also for bigger groups or bigger corporate organisations. Is that right?
Oh, it is, but at this stage, because of physical distancing, we haven't been doing face-to-face sessions and Mental Health First Aid Australia.
I think it will be important in the future, though.
It will be, and hopefully, well, it has been in the past as well. It's a great program. It's gone to Australian invention of mental health first aid that's gone to what 27 countries now around the world. So
it's fantastic.
It's a great program, and it will be continuing at this stage. You know, they're developing online versions for it, but nothing's better than the face-to-face version, and that will no doubt be coming on again. And you know, watch the Unity website for when you advertise them when you know restrictions are lifted, and we do that again.
Well, I did see Glenn's brought up his workplace has accepted the change as well. So some obviously do. And it seems that they have regular meetings, notice boards kept up, keeping things up to date, on-site temperature testing. It sounds really good. So Glenn seems to have a really good organisation.
Cool. That's good. Yeah, no, it's great. A lot of people, like I said, there's going to be a new normal. And we're going to have to adjust to that new normal, whatever that is. At this stage, we're all working, building that new normal, and let's see what it is. And you know, acceptance of that and acknowledging it's going to be somewhat different in the future is, you know, where we probably need to be.
Being resilient, I suspect, is probably the best. Learning resilience.
We are like that. Most humans are like that. But again, everyone's different. Everyone might take, you know, some people might take longer to adjust, and that's fine. That's fine. Just be there supportive with them, and that's all we can do.
Sure. Okay. Does anyone else have anything they wish to discuss? Please help yourself. You can unmute and ask a question quite happily. If you wish to talk about anything in particular, any concerns or anything like that. No, everyone's gone quiet.
That's all right. If you look at my first slide, like I said, or just Google my name, you'll find me online to maybe email me or
sure.
Chat anyhow if you want. Other than that, of course, you know, if it is a serious issue where a professional is required, then you've got the helplines as well to get advice there as well for anyone, for yourself or anyone in your family or anyone close to you. There is a lot of help out there and hope out there, so do access it. That's what it's there for.
Well, thank you, Rob, and thank you to everybody with their questions and your interest. This is great. We will do future webinars. We're quite happy to take some feedback. You can do through our admin@unitytraining.com.au account, which is actually on the web page, on the website. This is being recorded and it will be available on our website, and I'll send the link through to everybody who's joined with us today. Plus, if I can get the PowerPoint slides, I'm sure I'll be able to do that, put that up on the same. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Rob. Thank you to everybody.
You're welcome, and great to see everyone here today, and get out there and have a good time. Keep on being social.
Look after yourselves.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.